will drive up to the property and find out who owns it. If it does not have an Arizona plate on it, it will be assessed on that property, whether that unit belongs to that property owner or not. As a property owner, you are responsible for what is put on your property. So if you have a travel trailer that doesn't belong to you and you don't want to get taxed on it, you need to remove it. Or let me know. Let our office know that you have somebody who has just placed a travel trailer there, and we will assess it, and we will contact the person who owns the land and try to figure out what we're going to do with it. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and let Sheriff Ponce introduce himself and why he's here. Go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. First of all, I want to say thank you for inviting me out here. It's important for me to know what the problems are within the county, obviously. You folks, some of you folks elected me, some of you I know are not voters, but you're still here to support what we're doing and wanting something done. So I'm here to get those things done. Okay? They're not going to get done overnight. I'm in day 4 of my administration. I'm trying to learn what's going on, figure out what's going on, and I got a million things going on. But this was important when Anna called me and said, can you please come out here? I said, yes, I will be out here because I want to hear what the people have to say, what their concerns are, and what their needs are. And I'm going to fix whatever the problems are. It may not be tomorrow, but we're going to work on them. Okay? If I'd known this was going to be a larger group as it is, I would have brought other people from my administration so they could hear what the problems and concerns are. Because some of those people were working under the previous administration and would already know some of the things. This is all new to me. Okay? But we're going to fix them. I'm going to tell you that right now. Okay? Unfortunately, transients, squatters, all these people under our Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals have more rights than we do as property owners, as citizens, and as law enforcement. Okay? So that's a big deficit and an issue for us to try to do our jobs. But working in conjunction with the assessor, with code enforcement, the county attorney's office, we can make some things happen. But we need your help. We need you, like Anna said, if there's a piece of property that's on there that is not yours, then let's get it handled, let's get it removed, so it can be towed or whatever you got to do to get it off. Because that in turn brings these squatters in, they start living on your property. Now once they've lived on the property, they have squatters' rights. And now it's a whole other issue that has to go through the court proceedings because you can't just tell them you need to leave.
Is there a time frame for that? Like if they're there 24 hours, or is it like right the minute they get on there, then they got rights?
If they're there tomorrow and you woke up and seen them, let's get it moving now, because if you wait 10, 20, 30 days, now they've established residency. Okay? And that creates a problem for us. Because once our deputies show up and you come and tell them, hey, this person doesn't have authority to be here. Well, they've been here 30 days now. You've allowed them to stay.
I'm saying like a short time. Like if I go home right now and I pull a trailer in my yard and get in my house and in my door, this is what I think about.
If they're in your door.
If they're in my house
and
they say I got squatter rights, I'm taking your house like they did up in Washington.
No, then
they can just move in.
That's called burglary, and that's a crime, and we will arrest them. Okay? And if my deputies don't arrest them, then you better call me, and I'll be out here with my deputy, and we're going to make something happen. Okay?
Immediately.
So, I don't take this stuff lightly. I understand the issues. I watch Facebook. I talk to some of the citizens here. I've had small meetings with some of the groups here. I know some people, and I've talked with them, and I told them we're going to address these issues. But we need to have communication. If we don't have the open lines of communication, then we can't fix our problems, right? Right. Facebook, I try to monitor it, but there's so many groups on Facebook talking, I can't monitor every one. And so, if you have a criminal problem and you want action, then please call 911 or call the non-emergency sheriff's department line so we can get a deputy to you. And if a deputy doesn't come to you for days, then I want to know about it.
We'll deal with
because
it.
we're not okay with that.
We'll deal with it. If you don't show up, what are we supposed to do?
No,
That's what we always think about. That's what we do. That's what we deal with.
Right.
If you don't show up, then it's up to us to do your job.
Well, I want to know about it. I want to know about it.
This is our anger. This is
right. I know. But this is a new administration, like I'm telling you. These people, these deputies will be out here. That is my goal. That's my commitment to you guys. They will be out here to serve you because that's what we do.
Well, you need to tune your dispatchers in a little bit.
Okay.
Because unless you call in the morning after you've had encroachment from the night before a problem, they want to know, well, it's not our problem now because you didn't call immediately. Well, if you didn't call in the middle of the night because you guys got more fish to fry, and in the morning you report it, if you don't know about it, so your dispatch needs to be a little more attentive of our complaints.
I appreciate that, and I will take that into consideration. and you tell them, I woke up this morning, this person was on my property, I want them removed, okay?
Okay. Chief, code enforcement, has it right? Folks, the director for community development is here, and I don't know, code enforcement officer is here?
No, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead, if you want to just stand up there and speak loud.
Do I have to stand?
Well, I don't know if they can see you, but I know.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tanya Hoogerwerf. I'm the Director of Community Development. I did receive all the
They
parcel
can't hear you, have
numbers.
that louder? Louder?
The older people.
Oh, sorry. I did hear all your guys' complaints as far as certain parcels within the county recently regarding Ricky Shamblin's parcels. There's just a few that we have on record where code enforcement is involved. So there's one property on Rainbow that the mobile home needs to be removed from the property. Of course, we can't get a hold of Ricky Shamblin, all the letters come back returned. So there's a certain process that code enforcement has to go to. They have to notice the property owner, and of course, if the letters come back and we can't notice, then of course they never got the notice. There's just due process. So I will be going by each one of these properties today as well, just to see what the conditions are of the lot and see what I can do.
Is
as far
Thomas
as-
Road on there?
Thomas Road, I have parcel numbers.
He doesn't own anything on Thomas Road.
But they have squatters, she has
But we're
squatters
talking
over there.
about waters.
There's one across from the library.
What's that?
There's one of those across from the library, the burnt out place.
One of the
Yes.
one is the burned
Yes.
down place, yes.
Yeah.
How about right there by the farm home?
Let's see, mobile home needs to be removed from property on Rainbow, Santa Fe, stick-built home, trash on the property, Norris Avenue, burnt down mobile home, storage van, 2 vehicles on it. Recently sold as a tax lien sale. So we will be contacting the new property owner once that lien sale goes through, just to let him know he needs to clean up the lot.
Do you have any on Raider, off of Raider?
Raider, I have parcel numbers, so.
Oh,
Does
okay.
the sheriff's department communicate with, code enforcement?
Yes, they do. We actually are doing something on Ehrenberg Highway. It's a big property that I'm coordinating with the sheriff's department in order to get people removed from the property. It's just a long court process.
So have you got an address on Raider on your list to look at?
What, do you know the address, like the physical address?
It's right next to 27092, same driveway, I've got it.
Okay.
So I got a question, so, Tanya, if I am a taxpayer in Bouse and I see a piece of property where something's not right, overgrown, fire hazard, I call your department, is it confidential? If I wanna complain about my neighbor, how's the process to complain?
It would be anonymous. If you wanna do it anonymously, then we won't contact you. If you wanna give us your name and phone number, we'll contact you and let you know what we're doing about the process, where we are in the process, but of course, we need the physical address, not next to certain, cause some of my code enforcement, I have a new code enforcement team, and they don't really know the area as of yet, and they're getting familiar with the area, so it'd be nice to have a parcel number or an address when you complain about certain places like trash, weeds, and things like that.
How about public nuisance?
Public nuisance, go ahead and report those to my office. I will send somebody out and have them take photos and start the process. We do have a new hearing officer to hear those cases. So,
Are you having the sanitation with all these, trashy trailers? What the hell are they doing?
hold on, one at a time. Let me get her first, sir. Go ahead.
When you have all these trailers, there's no way they got adequate, sanitation. What are they doing with their sanitation and all their trash, that's the rodents and all of that? I mean,
No water.
with all of that?
Well, is somebody living on the property? Of course, there is.
Yeah.
The people
was.
the people live in a main house, and then they have a conglomerate of other people living in motorhomes, trailers, and that there's
that
no
zoning?
way they have proper sanitation.
Well, I could send somebody else out.
One of them doesn't even have a well, so how in the heck?
They're allowed to truck in water, of course, but they have to have sanitation facilities, they have to have heat and things like that. But I can't force myself inside the mobile, cause it's against their rights to force
But you
myself
can
in the
walk
mobile
the
and
property,
see. Yes, I
but
can
go
walk
out.
around the property if it's visible from the public view. Now, anytime I go through a locked gate, that's encroaching on their rights, the property rights. of people, so. Hold on one second, sir.
Do you have the 6 in Brandy Hills East?
The what?
In 6 of them in Brandy Hills East. Joe has all the documentation and all the pictures and everything.
Where's Brandy Hills East?
Willamette.
Willamette? Do you have certain addresses, sir?
Well, Joe has everything. He's got addresses, lot numbers, pictures, everything.
That would be great if you could send them to
Well, he
me.
has them. You have them.
I have them already, I'll look into it.
You have them, or he has them. Yep.
I'll look into it, okay?
Yep, please.
Yes. Okay, next.
So we have a small water company here in Bouse, and these squatters on Evans, or on Diane Evans' property, Ricky's property, they're now trying to get the water turned on. They've been stealing water from the county, from the fire department, and cops come, cops go, nothing ever gets done. What do we do with the water company?
You would contact the water company to see if they are actually stealing it? Oh, you are? Okay. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So that would actually be fraud, correct?
Maybe theft.
That would be theft. So you would report it to the sheriff's department. If they're stealing any water or power, you would have to talk to the sheriff's department for theft.
Prove it. The only problem we're having with that, and I wanna address that, is every time the druggies are arrested and took to jail, they're out the next day, every single time.
Yeah,
They
that's a
break
big
into
argument
people's
right there.
houses and steal from them, and they get out.
And come right back and continue.
Let me answer on that one, okay? On that situation, unfortunately, if our deputies are arresting these people and they're getting out the next day, that has nothing to do with the sheriff's department. That's gonna be the courts and the county attorney's office. So we have no control over that, but if you voice your concerns to the county attorney, we can try to get something done. And like Anna said, we will invite him out to the next one so he can hear your grievances.
He's an earful.
Okay, and that's fine. I think he needs to hear it. Just like I'm out here hearing it, Anna's out here hearing it, we're all out here. We need to know these things so we can try to get resolution to the problems, folks, okay?
These guys are not afraid of the sheriff.
Well,
They're not afraid of law enforcement because law enforcement has let them run so many times.
well, we're gonna try to address that situation. I agree with you.
So I'm gonna go ahead and have Cindy call up the people who want to talk and express their frustrations, and everybody just, be patient. So go ahead.
I'm talking first, then you've been.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been,
And I just wanna thank Cindy, because it was because of Cindy that this meeting actually happened.
Thank you.
I know a lot of you, I've been here for 23 years on the same piece of property. I worked 19 years at the school in the kitchen, and I've retired, and next door, I've called the sheriff. March 2nd, the main house at the Pecan Orchard, they had, Venus had the lights turned on. I called Renee Townsend. She came over, we called the sheriff. They said, oh, she's paid property taxes. She paid $16 on an easement, not even the property that she's on. So they left and said it was fine. So I continued after dark. It's like a friggin' town over there. They have these little head things on, and they've stole off of every trailer. There's 3 trailers. There's a double wide Pecan Orchard. There's 2 single wide oak trailers that they used to rent out. Well, they've stole the car from the middle one. I called, and they said, well, 45 minutes later, they finally came out, and he had already left, and they caught him. Everybody probably knows Jesse Sieber. Yeah. He was out in a couple days and back over there. He drives a vehicle with no plates and no muffler, and so Venus rented a spot to a motorhome May 28th, and he has since left because he got wise, and Anna talked to him, so he left.
okay, that's fine.
August 22nd, there was 9 cop cars over there. Cause they were looking for somebody that had burnt a house. Yeah, so, but they couldn't get them out of there. And so, September 17th, there was a dirt bike all night long.
Yep.
Jesse Sieber.
Yep.
And then the 26th, Thanksgiving night, Jesse stole this guy that had passed away, and the fiduciaries, the car belonged to them. He stole the whole friggin' car. And the other car there, they've taken the wheels and tires off of it and stripped the car to put on their van so it runs. And yeah, and December 5th, she rented another spot to a fifth well right in the pecan orchard. And the 13th of December, Wally started moving in across from my house. And he was the one that was up at Coyote Ridge.
Yep.
And he's
Thomas Road.
got the same junk now. Load after load he hauled over there. And then he moved an old junky trailer and an old junky motorhome with no plates on it over there right next to the road. And on the 28th, I called the deputy and I was told, lady, they've been there for 2 years. What makes you think we can get them out of there now? I said, no, they haven't been there for 2 years. They've been there since the spring. So I went back in my phone and I could tell when I text people different times. And I asked him if he could possibly stop the people driving around with no plates. Jesse and his mother both. She's changed her name in case any of you don't, it's not, she doesn't go by Debbie Sieber anymore, it's something else, but,
Bill Deborah.
yeah. And, December 30th, Wally moved into the trailer across the street from me. They have no keys for anything, everything was locked. So that's breaking and entering, and we just can't, the sheriff, I'm glad we have a new sheriff, because we have did no, I've tried, so. So thanks for everybody for coming and listening. We have a Jill North.
Get it, Bill.
Speak up, Jill.
I can't get up there, my knees are too old. Well, we haven't so far been broken into our home, but twice this winter we've had knock-knocks, and the last time, the only night in 2 weeks that I was, or 2 months I was gone, left my 85-year-old early dementia husband home. They came in the house, got in and he yelled, thinking it was someone else, and apparently they thought that there was other people in the house, and they left. My concern was they could have done bodily harm to him and wiped us out at the same time. We do know all the neighbors have had the same thing, darting in and out of the neighborhoods and all of that. Now, my concern is, we have all these mobile homes moving in. Yes, maybe they've got Arizona plates, but I thought our laws and stuff was we were not to have that much stuff unless we're storage property. How can all of these people have these derelict mobiles or RVs on the property without being adequately licensed to be storage? Number two, I realize that this property that she was talking about is unique because there's the deceased people and you don't always know who the owners are. But everybody that has a problem that the code enforcement people need to go around, they need to send letters to the owners immediately. Then they need to go through the leading that property and the bio waste products. We got a free dump out here. Most of us from the north, our a pickup load is $50 alone. You don't have to pay that. Just haul your damn junk to the up here. I worry, being in the medical field, that you have these terrible rains. A lot of us are on wells. Some of you fortunately have city water. But what are we going to do with the rodents that's in that junk, the diseases, the water tables? We get all that junk going into our water tables. And then they're so intimidating when you look at them, if they're coming down the street. Neighbors pulled out to go to town the other day and they said, oh God, we can't leave. Here comes one of them down the street, so they take a picture, which is, I thought, marvelous memory. I would have just been, but I got other neighbors that won't even go to town together or leave to go see their family because they're afraid they're gonna get robbed because they're watching them. We got a problem, and this is why I chose this neighborhood 20 years ago to come to Bouse. It was where all of us wanted to retire. We pay our taxes, we don't overdo the school system because we don't have kids in it. We purchase our items here. We got to have help. And I think you guys have got good open ears, and I thank you. And I do think we need to get the attorney out here to figure out how much rights we have. Yeah. Can we kick them in the testicles? Can we shoot them? I can't be my husband. If they haul me off to jail, who's going to take care of my husband?
David Franks next.
That's me, a lot of you know me. Listen, maybe you'll hear me. The other day, I caught Anna coming into town. She parked by the fire department. I chased her down. I turned around in my rig and went because it was an official vehicle. I wanted to talk to him. And as I approach her, I say, who are you? Kind of what's going on? She tells me who she is, and I says, you see all those people right down the street and all the crap across the road from them? You better lower their property taxes because what's going on just destroyed their property value. And that's what's going on in the community. My question is, how many of you firsthand have had something stolen from your property? Raise your hand.
I don't know. I got
Those of you that have heard about one of your neighbors having something stolen.
Keep them up so we can have a count.
Raise your hand.
Keep your hands up.
Are you seeing this?
Right, raise your hand.
This is what's going on in our neighborhood.
Not only have they stolen property, they've stolen our security.
Yes, they have, because right now they're running rampant, knowing that nothing's going to happen to them, because that's the way they've been able to live here for the last 2-3 years. It's just gotten worse, worse, and worse. The water department back here, right at the water well, they break into the water well, hook up a power line into our power that we're paying for, run it underground to a trailer, which is now burned down, thank God, next to the water department. We own property across the street from there that they've been going through with their vehicles, in and out on the water department's new property that we're going to be putting a well on hopefully here in the next year or two. If crap gets dumped on that property, it's a major cleanup for all of us to pay for to clean up. The same Ricky Shamlin property, which I'm going to take the code enforcement lady to when we get done with this meeting, our easement that runs through there where our water line is completely covered with trash. That's our city water that mess needs to be cleaned up on. I'm so upset. A year and a half ago, I sold my place in this town. I seen what was going on. I didn't want to take part in it. I had a druggie right across the alley from me. All night long, people coming in and out of his place, buying drugs, doing whatever, right there in my backyard. I put my place up for sale. I got good people moved in there. Hopefully they don't have the same feelings I do. Ricky Shamlin that owns the property right around here, Rick Green, 150 acres. He was so nice to our water department. He sold us 2 acres of ground. This is the ground that these people are running back and forth across that we're trying to keep them out of there. He got so upset here a year ago, he had the 2 storage containers right down here, just the other side of the park before you get to the wash. They broke into that, stole $15,000 worth of his equipment out of the containers. He got so upset, he says, I was planning on coming here to this town to retire. He says, I'm out of here. He just sold that property to somebody else. One of my neighbors, Bill, is Bill here? Just talked to him. He says, I'm so upset with what's going on. Next year, I'm going to put my place up for sale. This is sad that this is happening to our community. And it's not just one or two, it's everybody starting to get this feeling. We have all these retirees coming here, want to have a nice retirement, to be left alone, and we are under close scrutiny by this group of people that are stealing from all of us. It needs to come to an end.
Have a Mason Rich wine?
Right here.
Okay.
I live at 42801 La Posa. My property was broken into this last summer. I got a report. They got a hold of the sheriff. They did some looking around. One of the neighbors, he stole a compressor, a dolly and that. They tracked him, the neighbors tracked him from my property down across the wash, across the highway, to his property. Nothing was ever done. Not a search warrant, nothing was done. I called the sheriff office a couple times requesting a report. I never got it mailed to me, nothing. I had to go into the sheriff's office to get my report.
I think that's
The sheriff's office, and that's not you, it's the old sheriff, was not doing their job. And that's bullshit, because I pay taxes
I
for
agree
that
with
to be
you.
done.
I agree with you, 100%.
And I want to know if anything's going to be done about what was stolen from my property.
Change that. There's going to be investigators contacting people when they have burglaries and things of this nature, that there's property crimes where you have lost property, so that we can determine how do we move forward on this to get this resolved.
I want to add something to that.
How come I never get a report back though, and we request it?
Exactly. So I live in Parker, upriver, and my neighbor's home got robbed. This is last administration, has nothing to do with Sheriff Ponce today. So I was outside as the officer was taking a couple of notes. The property owner stated to him, I want a copy of this incident report. He goes, well, we don't normally do an incident report unless you request it. So if you ever, you have to tell them, I want a report, right?
That's true. That's correct.
They don't call back or even call us.
Well, new administration, we're starting new, we're starting new. We're letting you know that if you have property that is burglarized, you need to do a report and tell the officer, I would like an incident report.
That's not what the detective told me.
Face, phone, picture, whatever you gotta do.
We were broke into this summer. We got back 1st of November. And I called the sheriff, they showed up. Detective showed up, he looked through stuff and did his thing. And he said, I will be getting you a report. And that was about the 2nd or 3rd of November, I think. I'm still waiting. That's what he told me. He didn't say I had to call.
You two gentlemen, please stand by after so I can get your information, and we're going to address those issues.
All right, who's next?
Jim?
I ride my bicycle by the house right across the street from the firehouse.
Okay.
Last time I did, that big dog came after me. I hollered at him. I scared him so bad, he went cowered down on the asphalt. I was getting ready to go after him. Fellow that owns him came out and picked him up and took him back to the house. There was one of your officers parked right there. I says, is there a code against this in this community? He says, yes, there is. Well, I pointed at him holding his dog. I said, there you go. So I don't know if anything happened. If that dog does it again, what are my options? You know, I mean, you had an officer right there watching this happen.
Right.
And I was so mad I left.
If the dog lunges, you can shoot it.
Well, I have the date written down.
It doesn't lunge, you shoot the dog off.
There probably wouldn't be a report of that incident?
Well, I never,
Yeah.
that's all I said.
Okay. He should have intervened, is what should have happened.
Well, that I don't know, but there's been a lot of cars over there recently.
I'll get with you after.
That's the guy right behind
He
the
had
booster
he
hall.
had a witness over there, you wanna speak on that, Bill?
Yeah, I was
He's kind
there.
of in the
when
middle of all
he
this.
rode bike, and Grizz went right out after him. The deputy was there, because I called the deputy on the kid that lives there,
Quiet,
because he keeps
people.
beating the hell out of his dad. He's spent 2 days in jail, got released, spent 9 days in jail, got released, and was right back to the same place, threatened. I went into the sheriff's office, talked to the deputy, told him the whole story. He says, well, if he threatens or anything, call 911. Got home in 5 minutes. He threatened to beat the hell out of him and rip his head off, all kinds of stuff. Called 911. That's when the deputy came out. You know, the kid's still there. You know, after the 9 days, everything else. Lee's had 4 black eyes that I know of. He's threatened his stepmother, but he keeps getting released back to his victim.
Yeah, that's gonna,
I talked to the deputy out there for about 45 minutes. And he says that's, you know, they can't do that. That's up to the judge.
and that's where that lies. It's between the judge and the county attorney's office and the victim. The victim has to say, I wanna, because what happens a lot of times in domestic violence situations is the victim then recants their story or says, oh, I don't wanna be the victim, so now you have no victim in the case. So then that individual goes back to who they violated, you know, who they assaulted, and they live for time again, and here we continue to perpetuate the situation over and over.
Yeah, so, I mean, almost every night, well, it's got better because he's got a 72-hour hold in each stick of medicine, stuff like that, yes, now. But it's, you know, it won't last, and so they're threatened all night long, druggies going in and out all the time. Both the parents, they're scared hell out of from him.
Yeah.
They're scared to, you know, press charges because he's gonna come right back.
Yeah.
Threatened with hammers and everything else. And it's kinda like, I've called him out a couple times, you know, but, they don't wanna fight me.
I'll get the address from you guys, so I can have some more information to research.
Right across from the fire department.
Okay.
Okay, next speaker.
Well, I'm Pam Phillips. I just moved to this community a year ago, and that dog that came out, I was walking to the library. I'm a block from there. I'm walking to the library, and the dog came tearing out at some skinny younger guy who, the young man that lives in the house came running out, grabbed the dog, and then they did a drug slip. They just changed hands with their dope deal. He went back in the house, left the damn dog in the road. I was scared. I mean, I had to walk by there just to go to the library. And this dog is there, the drug deals are going down. Across the street from me, the horns honk all day long. Somebody's dropping something out their window, they're picking it up later. It's going down constantly in that neighborhood. Because I'm on Winter Street. And it's mufflers, loud, zooming by, no lights, the trash, there's a trailer frame with no axles, they're thrown on top of it, outside their fence that I have to look at. It's just been drug in there this week. It's crazy.
Isn't there some type of drug investigation or something, some people that just come in and look at that kind of stuff? If we've got so much of that you people can't take care of it all, why can't you just get 3 or 4 cops in here and sit around in the car and watch, and they start seeing that shit and start putting them in the jail?
But they gotta show up at night. These people are still in bed till 2 o'clock.
The drug unit right now consists of 2 people. It consists of 1 deputy from La Paz County and 1 officer from Quartzsite PD. We're trying to get Parker PD to get back involved. We're trying to get DPS to get back involved, but strained relationships under the previous administration created problems. Nobody wanted to be a part of this unit. So we're trying to rebuild that, and I'm sorry that that's where we're at, but that's what I'm committed to.
Another thing you're gonna have to work on, Cindy knows the incident, but I called in one here a couple years ago, remember when they had that big deal up on the corner from us there?
Yeah, the
And
other
they-
drug house.
They summons me to, like a fool, I told them my name and everything else, it didn't make no difference to me. A year later, I get a knock on the door and the sheriff there, and he hands me a warrant, says you gotta appear in court. So I said, okay, he said, you're gonna be thrown in jail or fined, one or the other. Okay, I said, okay. So we're up there riding, someplace, can't remember the name of it. I called him at 3:30, the case is on. I goes in, it's supposed to be a jury trial. It gets a little suspicious when only the judge and the prosecutor and the defender is there, and this guy that did the deal's there. Pretty soon this lady comes over to me and she says, we won't need you today. And I thought, oh yeah, I'll just stick around and see what's going on. Pretty soon she come back and she said, I told you we wouldn't need you, you can leave. So I got up and left. I stopped at the window, I asked the girl, I said, I wanna talk to the judge. She says, you on the dock? I says, blinkety blank, no, I ain't on the dock, I didn't come in here to do that. She said, if you ain't on the dock and you ain't talking to nobody, the guy got away scot-free. There were 7 people who were served warrants and never showed up. And I was the only one that did, and I lived right across the street from him. Now you tell me that ain't getting hung out.
That's probably why nothing got done to him, because you're the only one that showed up.
Yeah. Look, you're gonna have to do something about this bullshit. You can't just keep letting them get by with it all the time. If we gotta start at the top and go to the bottom, start at the bottom and go to the top, middle and go both ways. Whatever you're gonna do, we've gotta get her done.
And that's why we're gonna get the county attorney out here, so we can get some more communication, and he can hear your grievances, and we can try to address them.
We don't need a bunch of rhetoric, we need some action.
I'm not a person of rhetoric, I'm gonna tell you that right now, okay? You can look at my past record and what I've done and what I'm about. I'm out here, folks, because I'm concerned and I wanna help. We're gonna get it resolved.
I think I'm not.
Julie?
There's 2 dogs, a dog that comes out of the water going to, and your canine crew is out there one day. And I stopped him and talked to him. He said, I gotta go, because the woman who was walking the other dog, the smaller one, he said, I almost shot that son of a bitch just a little bit ago.
We'll get animal control out there.
Both those dogs are still there.
But you guys gotta make the calls in the dispatch about that dog, so we can get animal control to come out there.
You know what, maybe we'll invite animal control to the next meeting, okay? Okay, go ahead, Julie.
The dogs are the dogs, it's the people that's got them.
Right, well, the animal control can tell you about the rights and the laws when you own a pet.
Yeah.
So let's get them here, because we can't answer for them. Go ahead.
Okay, so I've talked to code enforcement for many years about different trailers around here, and the thing that I was told is we have to send letters, and we have to know the owner, and we have to do the process. Well, the process never gets done. This has been years, and the code enforcer leaves, and a new one takes over, and I guess the process has to start over because nothing continues from where it was. And the last I heard is that the county attorney had several properties that were referred by code enforcement, but he wasn't going to bring any of them to court. I don't know if that's true, but if it's true, we need to talk to the county attorney.
Yeah, I called the county attorney on December 28th and never have got a response back. Told him I wanted the meeting. And the same day I ran into Anna, so we thank Anna.
Yes, thank you. Okay, Lori Nash.
All right. I live on the corner of Thomas and 77th, and I get front row seats to Miss Jennifer's property, and I'm just gonna call it the way it is. I get to see all the drug dealers coming and going, okay? We could all start using this terminology. Drug dealers and other stuff, just come out with it and don't be scared. When I left over the summer, because I don't stay during the heat, I can't deal with it, but I went up to Williams. I wasn't gone 24 hours. I get a phone call from him. He's my neighbor, this is Sean. And I get a phone call that his father just saw 2 people on my porch looking in the window. I said, oh, hell no, I gotta go back right now. Boom, I go back. I put up some cameras, some lights. We need to start taking that approach also. You know, security, first measures. You know, I put the thing up on the bugle, whatever, about the air horns. 3 times, SOS, just blast it, you know. We're gonna have to start protecting ourselves because we can only rely on the police for so much. We're so far away from them getting to us in time. Like, we're here. We gotta work together. You need motion sensors. I got one in my motorhome. You come in my motorhome and try to steal it, I got a gun under my bed. What am I gonna do? I gotta come out for my safety, get out of my motorhome. motorhome. You're not stealing my motorhome. I need that. You know, so I have a sensor in there with the alarm system next to my pillow and, you know, by my bed. Don't steal my motorhome. Everybody gets their shit stolen. And no, so you have to have, you know, an alert system, lights, camera, action, you know, all this fun stuff we're gonna have to start doing. I was a PI for 7.5 years. I know how to blend in, okay? But out here, I want to just live and relax. I had a crazy life, so I want to like settle down like all you guys are doing. I want to relax, you know? So, but with all this other stuff that's going on, it's like I don't want to talk to half of these people. But unfortunately, I get the tendency to like kind of like, hey, what you doing, Deborah? Hey, what's up? What's going on? Yeah, how's your son doing? Yeah, we're cool, right? Talk to me a little bit more. Yeah, stop running your mouth a little bit more. I want to know what this bitch knows, okay? Because little Jesse over there just knocked up somebody and he's got a new baby. And I know I know that whole story. But, whew. So, anyway, Jesse is running around in the damn...
Yeah, all night long. Last night he was up and down 77th Avenue 15 times.
No plate. So he goes over to Jennifer's yard again. And where's he coming from? The desert. Why is he out in the desert? Because he wants to rob people.
Well,
he wants to take their generators and their shit.
Can't chase him in the desert.
Huh?
They know the cops can't go out.
I got a dune buggy, all right? We got ATVs. I mean, we could just go out there and be like, what the F are you doing? You know, easily track. We know how to track. We're hunters. We go out. His tires come from Jennifer's down the side of my place and boom, out to the desert. I can track a motorcycle. I can track anybody. I'll find you. And I'm a PI. I will find you. If you rob from me, and that's another thing. I'm sorry, but I get fired up about this, okay? If you rob from me, I'll call you last. Okay? I'm serious. I'm not just in my blood. I know I have to follow the law. I am law-abiding. I'm trying to be cool about everything. But don't steal from me, don't lie from me. Those are my two things. I really want people to just start to be, I know he's our first line of offense, but not really. We are our first line of offense.
Yeah, we got to look out for each other around here because there's too many people that's being robbed in this town. Houses have been burned all summer, last summer.
They burned the house. We all know this. They burned the house. Deborah scraps the stuff. They scrap everything. She shows up with a tweaker, dirty hands. She's scrapping the metal. She's doing her drugs. Yeah, I feel bad for her. She got a hard life. Oh my God, oh poor thing. No, I'll have this bitch arrested in a minute. Okay? And I'm not gonna say more than that. There's a lot of stuff I'm not even gonna tell you guys. Okay? Because it's just, you know, I do live here. But I get front row seats. And I see, you know, when they come in and get their caravans of motorhomes all set up on Jennifer's place. Poor Jennifer. Oh, yeah. You know, I met her. I like her. I try to like her. She seems cool. But there's something going on that I'm just not going to connect with. Okay? She's all her friends. This is her drama over there. I don't give a shit what's going on. Just don't bring it to my place. And that's, you know, Butt Crack Billy's not around anymore. Can I get an amen?
Yeah. And that's all. The only comment I've got on what you said is you put up cameras. I had a camera put up. They took pictures of this guy at night. Nothing was ever.
Are you the one that posted them? The thing is you have to document this stuff, okay? When my Sophie got mauled by a pit bull, okay, the first thing the dog officer said was, I need a picture of the pit bull. Okay, there he is, right? So he gets the dog once, they get him out. They get him twice, get him twice. You were going to have the dog euthanized, okay? This is a vicious dog. And I think the 2 or 3 times the dog catcher came and picked him up. You know, they had to pay like $250 or something to get the dog back. But the dog officer's a liar. He's a freaking liar. He does nothing. He does nothing. So there's only so much that we can handle. Okay?
I understand.
So anyway, the first line of offense, we gotta look out for each other and you just put the lights and the camera and the motion sensors and I don't know, we gotta find a way that we can communicate.
She's right. She's giving you all kinds of great tips, okay? The cameras are important. The video is important.
Put your camera right in their face like they Antifa. You know how they do it right in their face? Just get out there and be like, hey, I know you're dealing drugs.
And you guys, like using the Bouse Bugle or however you guys are putting out information, sharing it with each other, that's great because it lets everybody be aware of what you're seeing, what you're hearing. Yeah. Remember, communication is the key to us all being successful.
What's going to happen when we go home this summer, though?
When they leave.
Well,
The soldiers leave and they're few of them soldiers. They can't protect us.
Cameras, sensors,
Documentation
sensor lights.
report.
You're in Oregon and you got your house broke into, now you got an older husband, you gotta try to come down here and deal with them. No, we gotta get rid of them.
Well, I'm not saying we're not gonna get rid of them, but this is a ways to get to there, okay? And to have a sheriff's department that is involved and cares and wants to help you, it's all part of it. We all have to work together, okay? You're committed, I'm committed. We're gonna get this done. We're gonna get the county attorney involved, okay?
What I have to say is, last year when Lori left, I had to go to Havasu because my friend moved up there, and I went to visit him. I wasn't gone more than probably half an hour, and my dad came over to let my dogs out, and that's when the kids were on her porch. When,
Oh, and let me just call it, I'm sorry, let me just call it out. When I left, I live on the corner across from the big house, and the last one on Thomas, okay? So I know who's over there, they know when I'm home. So when I left in my motorhome, in my cargo trailer with my friend in his trailer, we left out. They saw me leave. Who's they? Daniel? Say it, just say it. It's Daniel, Chris, Wally, all them motherfuckers saw me leave and they want to get up on my porch and look in my window?
And then Scott lives on the other side of me. As soon as they left in a hurry. They're on his property. The lights are on all night long. I have to keep getting up, going over there, checking to see if anything's missing. I mean, it's getting really bad.
And they're brazen. They're very brazen. If they're going to go knocking on elderly people's doors and the new post going around, this is brazen.
Yeah.
You know, so you really got to step up. I voted for you.
I agree. I appreciate that.
Down on these repeat offenders, just do something about it. Now, Hagan doesn't stop the crime, but it does cut down on the repeat offenders.
Well, we can't do that anymore, but
We might not be able to.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
I'm telling you, we have to be committed. We got to be working together like you said.
Diane heard.
Diane, no,
I don't know how the hell to follow that. All right, we've been here a couple of years, my family. I guess it was about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago now. We live out between 41 and 42. There was an incident out there. Wasn't our neighbors. We got fantastic neighbors. For those of us that are close around. But we ended up with somebody from outside of our neighborhood that my understanding was a felon or was being tracked or something. He got into an accident, ended up running through all of our properties. The response was huge. I think it was about 9 or 9:30 at night. We're right on 73rd, so we face 72nd. We saw the lights flying. I mean, you must have had every single law enforcement there was in all of La Paz County out there. So fantastic response, I appreciate that. What didn't happen though was any communication with us. So what I think, you know, we all know what the problems are in our community. I'm more of a problem solver. So I looked at that situation and said, how do we grow from this? Hopefully that's the last time we ever have a fugitive driving through our neighborhood or on foot. And there was a lot of takeaways for me. And unfortunately, it sounds like you came in after this event.
Yes, I did.
So I'm hoping that there's going to be some takeaways from your department in how to better deal with a rural community. Okay, before I came here, we came from a small town called Maricopa City. When I moved to Maricopa City, 43% of it was owned by Canadian snowbirds. So it was very similar to this community. It was mostly HOA, so that was not similar. But it was similar in the fact that most of those people left every summer, okay? So their places, nobody there. So it really did come down to the neighbors to look after each other. But what was amazing about Maricopa City, and what I would think would be fantastic to happen here in La Paz County, and maybe it does, I don't know, is they had an amazing volunteer police crew that were not police officers. They were volunteers for the police. Okay, so there is one out here? Okay.
I'm aware there's not, correct?
There is not, okay.
I was part of that group. I was fortunate to be part of that group for a couple of years. And the volunteers outnumbered the amount of officers there were.
And that's typically what happens.
Okay, and their volunteer, which is still going on now, is like the envy of all of Phoenix for what they do. I was in charge of mobile command center. So if they got a call out, like for our situation where you guys were out there for hours, you were there most of the night, I would have been called to get the mobile command center and bring it to that location and stand guard and make sure that it was ready and prepped. Those volunteers were on the phone with those communities going, this is what's happening. We have a situation in your neighborhood. They then have communication. Our community out in between 41 and 42, I have a phone list.
Which is good, yeah.
We have a phone list that Wanda put together with Nance, and I think there were a few other people that happened prior to me. I just happened to have a copy of it. We were all in communication with each other that night. So we were all telling each other, this is going on. Turn all your lights on outside. Stay inside, but make sure you light up everything you've got to help the officers. But not once did a single officer come by with all those lights turning on and go, hey, this is what's going on. Somebody's going to keep you informed. And that's what I think is missing. At about 2 o'clock that morning, you have to keep in mind from 9 o'clock, my husband and I were up, armed, lights are on. My mother-in-law lives next door on our property. He had already gone and gotten her. This person went through our property. So this wasn't it was a close call. He was on our property at one point. We have a child at home. So we were up and armed that entire night. And at 2 o'clock, around 2 o'clock in the morning, exhausted and wired, all the officers left. We had no idea if this guy had been caught. At 8 o'clock in the morning, I called the sheriff's office and said, I need to know what's happening. I live in this neighborhood. What is going on? Is it safe for my 13-year-old to go outside? And the response I got was, we don't think he's in the area anymore. If you feel safe enough to go out, go ahead. But if you don't, then stay inside. I'm like, sure, kid, go ahead, ride your horse. So that was 24 hours of not knowing. That didn't need to happen had there been communication. And I know that during that time, you guys were out there, they were searching, there were copters, there were dogs, there were everything out there, and I knew you were busy. My husband kept stepping outside to be kind of like, hey, maybe if they see us, they'll stop by and go, this is what we need you to do. But maybe if you had a volunteer force that could have been in contact with these rural neighborhoods, we know we're the first line of defense. It's lovely to think.
It's the truth.
That somebody who's paid is going to come take care of it. But we moved out here for a reason. We moved out here for the solitude and for the quiet and the security. And we are a force to be reckoned with, as you can tell.
I know.
But having the link between this first line of defense through to the next line of defense, because we could have been assisting you guys.
Of course.
What about that Nixle program that used to buzz us on our phones for traffic problems and Amber? Well, there's got to be a system where the sheriff's office can, at least give the community here within, a certain amount. You've got the equipment. I know Nixle worked pretty good for me as far as.
The problem with Nixle is started to charge. That's why they went away from it. So that's why they don't use it anymore.
It started to what?
They started to charge for the use of it.
Had to pay.
They had to pay.
But I think the volunteer part of it, if they had blocks, 2-acre blocks, or not 2-acre, 2-mile blocks or whatever, one person contacted somebody and you had the communication like you did. The dispatcher would communicate this first from your office, so the officers couldn't do their job. The dispatcher would say, oh, that's the area, this volunteer. That volunteer then would take care of her neighborhood or employ somebody else of the volunteers to get the neighborhood knowing what's going on.
Agreed.
It would free up the actual officers to do their job, but the neighborhood would know to shelter in, turn on your lights.
Right. And I started a program very similar to that in Quartzsite. It's a neighborhood watch program, and there were block captains. The block captains were the liaison between the police department and their neighborhood. So that block captain would receive the information, disseminate it to that neighborhood, and it would go out through the whole community.
Well, that's good.
I have a question for you. I just bought a police scanner, and it probably should have got a better one because of the range. Can you give me your frequency?
I don't know the frequency right now, but what I can tell you is that you're gonna hear half of the transmission. You're not gonna hear, well, you're gonna hear what dispatch is putting out, you're not gonna hear the officer.
See, that would kind of help too. Like, what's up
Right.
with that?
Because what they did was when we went to a different system, it's encrypted to a certain level.
That would help us also.
Yeah, and years ago, it used to be very open. I know that people that have been out here a long time know that because they did used to be able to get on the scanner and hear everything that's going on.
Lori, a lot of the druggies have
And
scanners
that's-
too, that's why they don't want.
Right.
Fire with fire, though. The other question is can you deputize people? Just like, you know,
Well, one of the things that I know it's already been talked about, one of the things that I had talked about doing when I became sheriff was to bring that VIP program back into life. So that way we can have the citizens out there helping us. Okay? We're gonna work on getting that done. And then we're gonna talk about doing a neighborhood watch. I know it's gonna be different because it's on a larger scale. It's not like a small community like Maricopa or like Quartzsite.
Oh,
But we'll figure something out. Right?
But the volunteer organization itself, it's well worth
Right.
talking to them if we'll have the opportunity to. It's an amazing system, and those volunteers take care of a
Right.
whole bunch of stuff, from paperwork to victim services, being able to go and assist somebody who's being beaten by their son.
Right.
And be there and go, these are your options, we're gonna hold your hand through this, where you guys don't have the time to do that.
Right.
I get that. But there's enough of us here
Right.
who are not working that are fired up and ready to assist. Bridge the gap between, there's a lot of us versus you.
Oh,
It
definitely.
doesn't have to be that way.
No, it doesn't. And I'm glad that we have this kind of relationship where we have people that have desire to help and they want to get involved, where in some communities we don't have that.
Oh, yeah, we weren't in here.
Ted, did you wanna talk?
Yeah, I think most of it has already been said. A couple of things come to mind. We just mentioned the neighborhood watch. I think a neighborhood watch is something we could consider, that we could even have interconnection, like kind of an Amber Alert, only at a lower level.
Yeah.
We could all be alerted to something that's going on. We could be appraised of it. As far as the county, maybe they can get a little bit more cooperation amongst the legislative and executive and the judicial branch to act on these situations that are happening. They don't seem to happen as quick as they should. If it doesn't, maybe this neighborhood watch group will have to go where the problem is and send those people to the train.
Take them to the train station.
Like our 360.
No, and I know that. I understand that completely. And like I said,
I'll help them go to the train if that's what it is.
like I said, prior to me taking office, I've been watching this. I've been talking with people in the community, and some of the people know that we've had communications about some of these issues. And now that I know that it's this many people that are concerned, that's awesome. I'm glad that we have this.
Frustration.
Right, and I get it. And we're gonna work on it, okay?
You talk about concern, and my concern is being put in a situation where I have to become a vigilante.
Right.
That's my concern.
I understand that.
Because I will pop caps, and I'd hate to be in that situation.
And I don't want you to have to be in that situation.
And I appreciate everything that's happened. There's been some really good points.
There's
But
about
that's huge.
six people, if you would just remove them from the county, you wouldn't have a problem.
Sounds
anymore.
easier.
I can give you a list.
If we can,
That was what I had talked to him about before this meeting started. There is a group, about 6 dozen, they're the main ones. If the district attorney and the judge would listen to us and work with us, that little group, if we got them to hell out of here, would solve a lot of our problems.
and that's what I'm saying. If we,
But right now,
The problem is,
they go to jail, come right back.
there's an attorney in the judge.
Take them to the
if we
train.
can get all the spokes in the wheel together to work together to get it done, then we'll get it done, okay? You get my commitment that I'm gonna,
The property owners are let the little bastards stay on their property.
and that's,
To be the offender.
And that's part of the problem, is you have people that think that this is a nice person, or they're down on their luck and I'm gonna try to help them out. They don't want your help, they're here to take advantage of you.
Exactly.
Okay, so we gotta remember that.
We've all tried it.
Yes, you can't do it, folks.
Jan? And they know it, and they just type in their.
That man over there said what I had in mind, and you might want to consider that vigilante justice.
Hold up, guys, hold up.
John?
When there's a person in our neighborhood that has taken Debbie and her son, and they're hiding them from the police, and the police goes to his house and tells them, or he tells them, no, they're not here. Well, they have no reason to go into his house, but then he walks around the neighborhood letting us all know that he's hid them from the cops. He's called the cops on them. He's got a restraining order right now against Debbie that she can't come on to his lot. But she parks across the street and walks over and goes into his trailer, even though he's put a restraining order.
Videotape it and he can get a warrant.
Videotape it.
Yeah.
Videotape it and get a warrant to go on the property.
Last year, he got broke into. The people were on our property. We called, we filled out paperwork that they were on our driveway and trying to get in our yard. The officer was so nice and come out, and we filled everything out, never heard another word of anything. But 2 weeks later, the guy that broke into his house was back at his house drinking beer with him, and Debbie and her son was there also. And you feel like your hands are tied.
I know, folks, and I'm sorry for that. And I know I've heard it over and over and over again, is that nobody's getting back to you. We're gonna change that, okay? Because I'm about service. What are the?
About him whenever he takes them and hides them.
Well, like she's told you, the only thing we can do is if you videotape it, then we can file a report, submit it to the county attorney's office for charges. That's the only thing we can do, unless we catch him in the act.
On the county attorney after that.
Yes, sir.
John Bennett?
John?
So, yeah, I work for the Bouse Water Company, and back in July of 2019, I had my personal air compressor at the main well yard, helping to pressure up the air compressor, and it was a 4th of July weekend. And I take pictures of all my tools, and I keep it on my phone. Well, my helper asked me, did you leave your compressor at the well yard? And I said, yeah. He said, well, it's not here. So I asked him, okay, call dispatch, make a report. When I get back into town, I'll follow up. Well, so the report was made, and they said, well, if you find it, let us know, or we get word on it. So I passed the word around town, that was my personal air compressor. And maybe a week or so later, I got a phone call and said, hey, air compressor showed up over here on this piece of property. It might be yours. So I took it upon myself. I drove down the street, had my binoculars. I could see my air compressor sitting in the guy's backyard. The red tank, orange air hose. So I called dispatch, gave them the story, and I gave them my phone number for the deputy once he got there. And the deputy called me up. He was coming from Quartzsite, so it was a little while. And I sent him a picture of my air compressor with the serial number on it. So when he got to the property, he identified it with my picture and said, yeah, this is yours. You want to come get it? And I said, you bet. So it was at Kyle O'Hanlon's, and from there, Brad Hatch had taken it there, and it was Michael, I don't know if it's Klingensmith or Harrington, they're all the same cousins and brothers.
Yeah.
So it was Michael who actually broke into the Bouse fenced-in whale yard with a keep out, no trespassing sign on it, and So I went over there to get my compressor, and Kyle goes, well, why didn't you just call me? And I go, well, I did make a call. And this is how it works. And so when I tried to follow up to see if this Michael ever got arrested, he never got arrested. Nobody could tell me if he got arrested. So months later, I'm thinking, you know what? Isn't there a victim's advocate? So I called the victim advocate office, our county attorney's office. She had no clue of what I was talking about. So that's the kind of stuff all of us are going through.
Yep, and that's not appropriate in any way. You should have gotten some kind of information back. You should have been given a victim's rights form. I don't know if you did, John.
No, he did not.
Okay.
No.
So that's an issue right there in itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, usually I'll get a case number. If I'm involved personally with the deputy, he'll
Right.
give me his card with a case number. Lance did not get a case number or any kind of paperwork from it was 2 officers that showed up. And so I've got my compressor, but we've had to deal with trespassing on the Bouse water property right there along the dog park fence line, the 2 acres. So I've went to the extreme of digging a ditch. We've got barricades. I've got posted all around all 3 sides of the property, no trespassing, with the phone number, and they continue to still go over. And I caught that Jesse Sieber coming out of there one day in that black primered Blazer. He's got 2 tires up on top of the hood. He's coming out. The front tires broke off the axle, so it's just kind of hanging on with the A-arm. So I stop him. I had my phone with me, and I took a picture of him coming and going. I stopped him. I said, Jesse, this is private property. And he goes, oh, I didn't know. Coming right by the no trespassing sign. So when the deputy showed up on the no trespassing, I called it in and gave him the picture. And he said, because I took a picture of him on the driver's side, he said, that looks like a girl. And I said, it's not, it's Jesse Sieber. And so when I call back again for more trespassing issues, they say, well, there's nothing we can do. You got to get a hold of the owner. I said, well, I work for the Bouse Water Department.
The owner is Bouse Water.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So whether they're referring to this Venus, the squatter in Ricky Shamblin's, if the dispatcher's referring to them as the owner, well, that's where they're coming and going out that back piece of property. It just...
Call me later, you and I are gonna talk some more.
Yeah.
We're gonna address that issue.
Yeah.
We're gonna go down, we're taking the code enforcement lady, John and I, afterwards to this property so she can see exactly what's going on. The junk that they've got there, and being the community water, I feel is a real hazard to everybody living there. If it gets contaminated by this group, we got a problem. And this being a public utility entity like this, it goes well above the little La Paz County when it comes to law. It's a major offense.
Right, but we have to get the county attorney.
But we gotta start here.
Right,
Yes.
we gotta get them
Yes.
involved.
Okay, and who's next?
Clark.
Rehash a couple things. I'm concerned about some of the dilapidated properties, because to me that's just bait. That is just encouraging them to vandalize that location. Is there some way that code could monitor the area and a property that has obviously been abandoned? And I mean, we've got some over our neighborhood where the soffits are falling off the building, the screens have all been kicked in, the windows are broken. I mean, it's just weeds all over the place, dead trees, bees, obviously not being cared for years.
Okay, we do have adopted a property maintenance code, and I am training a code enforcement officer that is new right now. And like I said, we do have a new hearing officer, so it's just gonna take time to get through the training and the process, so we'll start sending out letters. So today I'm gonna be going through the community and looking at those properties, just to get an address and see what the status is, to make some notes, so I can direct the code enforcement officer to move forward with those. So hopefully with this new hearing officer that we have, we can start finding people that own these properties with the dilapidated buildings. But of course, if they have a return mailing address that comes back to us where it's undeliverable, then I'm gonna have to look at other options. Because of course, we can't just go in there and just tear down the building, okay? So we'll have to get the county attorney involved.
So one other question then. Piece of property that was recently purchased, it's set up, it had a trailer on it. It has 2 connections for RVs. There's now 5 of them there.
Okay, so depending on the zoning, like MHS, which is like the majority of the Bouse area, MHS allows for 2 RVs.
MHS stands for Mobile Home Subdivision.
Mobile Home Subdivision. So depending on your zoning, you can have anywhere from 2 to 3, no more than 4. So, I'm gonna.
5 is too many?
Yeah, 5 is too many. That's 5 is way too many. Anything over 4 is considered an RV park and is out of compliance unless they are zoned recreational vehicle park. Okay.
So who would they contact to report that?
They would contact Joe Picote out of my office. He's the code enforcement officer, or you can contact me. My name is Tanya Hoogerwerf.
Okay.
Okay.
Sir, you have a question back there.
The problem isn't these empty lots. The problem is everybody here leaves in the summertime and there's nobody here. They've had the same problem for 15 years. I live here year round. And if it was out on 42E or McVeigh or wherever it was, they were breaking into places in the summertime because they knew everybody was gone. The only way to fix this is either you guys have to do a better job as far as getting those guys and prosecuting them and putting them in jail. And I'm not getting on you because I know that you guys are tied up by the courts. But if the courts don't do their job, then none of this is ever going to get fixed. And the only way it can get fixed otherwise is if somebody comes up to your door, doesn't belong there, you blow their head off. Because that way, when you get about 10 of them and it's done, wait a minute. When you get about 10 of them and it's done, the rest of them are going to leave. Yeah. Every year it's been the same problem for 15 years.
And it's the same people.
I'm going to tell you something because I worked in Quartzsite for a number of years. It's not just here, okay? Because Quartzsite's a community, Rainbow Acres is communities where same thing. They come for the winter, they live here, and then they go back to their primary residence. The burglaries take place during the summertime. They're stealing anything that's not nailed down. They're looking for copper. They're looking for whatever they can that they can go sell to get their dope fix, okay? So it's
This has been going on for a long time.
Right.
This is not a new thing.
You're right.
But it's when everybody leaves their homes, there's nobody to protect them. There's nobody to guard their homes. And if it's out of sight where nobody can see what's going on, these guys have a free thing. There's 3 places been broke into off the Rayer Road that I know of this last summer. All in the same neighborhood. And one of them, they had somebody come and bang on the door in the middle of the night. And when they got up and flipped the lights on, the guy ran. They know where it's coming from. The officer told the guys, we know where it's coming from, but we can't do nothing. You know what? Somebody's got to put their foot down.
Well, we're gonna put our foot down, but you know what happens? Cockroaches flee when the lights come on, right? We gotta figure it out. And we're gonna work together. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna get everybody on board, get them in a room, and we're gonna talk this out and figure out how to serve the people that way they're supposed to be served.
It just needs to be handled. These guys are scumbags and they're getting away with murder.
I agree.
They're stealing from people that don't believe, that worked all their life to get the stuff they've got. They don't deserve to have it taken by some idiot.
I agree with you, sir.
And it's time that
Let's
we
get the next person.
Who's next?
Renee?
Yes, I'm here and I will talk loud enough. You should be able to hear me. I've lived here for several years and I've owned a couple of different properties, and I agree with what's going on here. We did have a neighborhood watch at one time, and it went down the hill. It all of a sudden disbanded. There's only one area that I know that still uses the neighborhood watch program, and I don't know how active it is today. When my husband died, I lived in an area that I thought was safe until a grandmother brought her grandson in, and he brought the drugs and the dope and the neighborhood trash to our neighborhood and up and down the alleyway all the time. I have across the street, catty corner, a drug house. It's a known drug house. I have seen People die there from overdoses in the past. I have seen grandkids that have been taken to jail and turned right back over to that house. I have witnessed, as several others have, the drugs that have been passed. And you can document all you want. And I realize that you're new.
Yes, ma'am.
And I realize that they can't do it. But we do need to do like this lady over here said. We need to join together. I put in an alarm system. Yes, I leave in the summer, but that's gonna be changing because my home burnt down in Wyoming. I changed and I voted for you.
Well, I appreciate that.
So that I could be here and hopefully have a sheriff that would help our community get rid of the trash. But we gotta get a hold of the judge.
We gotta get a hold of the judge, we gotta get a hold of the county attorney. We need you as the citizens to step up and security systems, video surveillance systems, lighting, all these things help to deter these criminals. And you guys talking to each other and communicating, that's the biggest key, because then these people know that they're not gonna be able to walk all over everybody and get away with what they've been getting away with. But we all gotta work together.
Al, you're up. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Al?
Laws need to be changed where the property owner is the one, not the one that walks through your property.
I don't speak very loud, so hopefully I'll project enough. My wife says my voice is very difficult to hear. So what I'm trying to make a point is that I've been dealing with the county for over 2.5 years on a property that's on the corner. Hired a new law enforcement officer. Prior to that, they were contracting it, and apparently the contractor didn't care if anything got done except he wanted to get his pay. That's my opinion. But currently, they have a man who I have great respect for, because when I went and spoke with him, he came out the next day. The next day, he was out there checking out that property. I believe that under the new format that they've set, that we're going to see some action on that. My other concern is this property that burned over here just by the water department. We have a couple that lives right behind there, Jim and Linda, a precious couple that have been in this neighborhood for years and years and years. Linda is not well, and all that smoke and stuff that came from there has affected her health, I'm sure. And constantly the burn, when the wind comes up, all that stuff goes their direction. Something has to be done about that lot, because that lot, there's nothing there salvageable. The only thing that can be done with that is it has to be accumulated and taken off to the recycler. That's the only thing that can be done with anything that's on that lot. It's horrible. And Jim and Linda, God bless them, they just love the community, and unfortunately they're not well enough to be here today, but I tell you, they are a foundation in this community. Jim and Linda have given themselves to this community through the boosters and through other organizations here in town. You have to protect our people. We together have to protect this community. It's just, and I'm encouraged that they do have an officer that is on the ball and getting out and getting things done. I can see that this is going to happen. So let's encourage them too to do that.
Is Sean still here? Sean? No? Okay. He'd already talked. Scott Guthrie?
I'm Scott Guthrie. I'm from the other Oregon, which is the eastern part of Oregon, called Haines, America. Anyway, I pay taxes there the same as I do right here. When I leave there, I become a resident of Bouse here, the same as there's a whole lot of you. I'm still healthy enough, I can hold my own against some of these tweakers and punks and the thieves that are out here. A lot of us cannot. And that's why we gotta look out for one another on that aspect. A lot of people here, I know the faces and I know their names. I got a lot of neighbors right here. Lori and Sean are my neighbors. And we have been putting up with this for a long time. I've been here, we've had a property about 15 years, close to 12, 15 years. So I have paid taxes here, field taxes, sales taxes. Oregon doesn't have a sales tax. We're paying all these taxes. I want you to take this to your judge, the DA, your higher ups. We pay taxes. We're the biggest screaming wheel out here. We pay their salaries, your salaries. You work for us. And with that said, the thieves around here that are stealing, how much taxes they pay? Gas taxes? Oh, heck no! They're stealing the gas, so that's free, right? They're stealing your belongings and stuff, and they sell it, hawk it, and take that money, buy their drugs, do whatever they're going to do with it. So they don't pay no taxes. We pay taxes. We need to be heard. And I don't like to be, we have politicians in our country too. They tell you everything you want to hear and everything else. We want action. We want to see something. We want to see either more police force. Yeah, I understand your monies are this way. I think that's just poor management on the higher ups part, not putting the money where it really needs to go, which is to protect our communities. I didn't retire and come down here to be a policeman and neighborhood watch and be up half the night. I'm up half the night anyway because we're listening to Jennifer's place over there and all the stuff being stolen, drugged down there. I watched a trailer come through 2 years ago. A couple of pieces of tin at 2 o'clock in the morning. Why at 2 o'clock in the morning? And you see guys going through the oleanders out there and stuff, gas cans. Why are they going cross country with gas cans? Come on. And the police have been there, yeah, they've been there. This year, I have to admit, I've called 911 2 times because of Jennifer and Jesse and all this stuff. So these are criminals that get out of jail that are probably felons, if I'm correct, most of them. So when they break the law and ride or drive a car with no license, no tags, no insurance, nothing else, I'll guarantee you, if you pulled me over on the highway and I didn't have insurance, I didn't have registration, I didn't have a driver's license, I'm going to jail. And these guys they're out the next day, or they're out 10 days, or whatever. And I don't want to hear that CV is an issue for jails and everything. Come on, that's an excuse. I want things taken care of. We want action. We want to see people live their senior years out here in peace. Some of these guys and gals, we just want to be peaceful out here. Bring our money and spend it here. It's making it more and more difficult for us to make that decision. So all you locals that live here year round, respect me because I'm a resident here now, spending my dollars from Oregon right here, which those dollars trickle right to you guys. A suggestion was made about possibly when you guys have your old cards that you sell, whatever auction, maybe some of these communities that do have neighborhood watch, they look like a police card, they don't have the emblems on them anymore, maybe donate them to that city like Bouse for the neighborhood watch. Those people drive around in that car. And that might be a little bit of a deterrent for the thieves, which would be a plus. Maybe we could use that instead of people having to fork out our own dollars and oh, that guy's got a red Jeep, he's got that yellow Jeep, I know where that guy lives, sort of thing. This police car goes down there to the impound and sits there by the state or whatever impound downtown here. And they can go check it out, they drive the neighborhood watch, they're responsible. A neighborhood watch, 2 people need to be in that car. You can't go by yourself. It's just too risky down here the way it is. I've already confronted one of those guys. And he darn near run over me with his motorcycle. And when I stepped out of the rig, he looked at me like, oh, he's a little bigger than I want to deal with. So his motorcycle died and he's trying to get away, and I figured that was enough threat to him, and so I went on, then I had to call 911 and that sort of thing. Let's see if I got all my notes here covered.
Yeah, all the people that were parked over at Jennifer's are across the street from me now because she's kicked them out.
All but one.
All but one. All but one?
One motor
So they moved from one place to another. We still got one there that's been there all night long. You can get, I'll guarantee you, 10 o'clock at night it starts. All night long until just about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and then it kind of dies down. It's the same thing out here. We're senior citizens, most of us, and we all want to live in peace out here and retire and enjoy ourselves. I mean, we bring money to enjoy ourselves and put more police on. Put one here. I don't care. Push the money and tell them this is the money that's coming here. Not the thieves. They don't contribute nothing except
There's a lot of dust up the names can be given.
Oh, I already know these people, because they go to court site, and when I was over there, they go back and forth between these communities. They do the same thing over there. They're transitory criminals, that's what they do.
The lady right there, you wanna add something? Go ahead.
Yes, I want to add something to what he said. That's good and well for this gentleman to get out and then look at him and say, oh my gosh, maybe he's something I don't want to deal with. But that same black vehicle, or whatever color you want to call it, with no license and a tire up on top, died in front of my house. 5:15 in the morning, and I didn't know whether I really wanted to turn a light on or even go out and see what they were doing. Because I'm me, and they're going to look at me and say, oh shit, she's just a little old lady.
I wouldn't go outside.
So I didn't go outside, but I'll tell you what, I did buy guns.
That's good. I want to hear that.
And I'm not afraid. I've been a hunter. And I'm not afraid. And I'm going to the range to practice so that if I ever get to hit the damn target again. It's been so long since I've shot. Yeah, but I will hit that target, and he's bigger. And I'm scared I will hit him. But us little old ladies that are alone,
Okay.
we can't go out.
I just like to quickly add to her, if you do what she does, take the lesson, get your concealed carry,
Right.
go through the training.
Yes.
You ladies need to learn that weapon if that's what you're going to use for self-defense. Be careful what you do. Know your laws.
Right.
Okay? And where you stand on them. And with that, I will protect and do what I have to do to protect what I have in my life, in my family.
Within the law.
So that's just the way it is. And believe me, you don't want to steal from me. So anyway, thank you folks.
Thank you.
Next,
Here's Michelle.
Hi, I think you guys all hit on the big problems here, and I think this is the first step in what I used to call community-oriented policing.
Sure is.
Where the community gets involved, the police department, and then they bring in everybody else that needs to be to resolve major issues or minor issues that grow to bigger ones. I have another little issue, maybe for community development, Mon Paws. Are you familiar with them? They're right on the highway. Yeah. It's I know a junk stop cat next door to the general store.
So Cactus Chicks?
Yeah. Yes, that's them.
Cactus Chicks.
Okay, their stuff is all the way to the highway. They have no parking. It's a hazard. Then people park in the right turn lane there. It's a hazard on the highway. I mean, it's just. I'm familiar with the property. Okay, yeah, I bet we all are. And it just keeps growing, and now they're going to other communities as well. But I wanted to bring that one up here, and then with the water district. I used to be on the board. That's a federal offense to mess with the water district. See, on the property, especially that's why you had to post all those signs. John Bennett knows that. Everybody else that's here from the water district. And it just can't keep going or else, I mean, we just got a $3 million grant alone in order to build, get a well, make the community better. And it's gonna deteriorate pretty fast. Because that's the big issue they had with the Townsend, whatever his name is, property that burned.
John Townsend.
Yeah, John Townsend's place that you're gonna see today. They were worried about everything that's been there from the past, the oil, the gas, everything else that seeped down into the ground was gonna be affected, and now everything that's burned was seeped in the ground. And now it's extended over to the other Townsend property. It's the guy you can't get a hold of now. Okay, but, so I just wanted to bring up those couple issues. I know they're minor compared to the bigger issues, but you let those little issues grow, and this is where we are today. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Jody Wilson.
Jody Wilson? Okay.
For your department.
Okay.
My talk isn't as exciting as all of your guys'. This is a property issue. My husband and I moved here full-time 15 years ago. We purchased a home. We were able to, with a partnership, 13 years ago, we purchased a home. We were able to, with a partnership, purchase a commercial property on Highway 72. It's a corner lot. We invested a lot of money in 2006 and 7, and it's been paid for ever since. We've been waiting for the community to grow and for a reason for that commercial property to do what it is for and to provide services or employment, something that will benefit our community. We also, after I retired, purchased the house on the other side of the easement from us with the specific purpose to turn it into a B&B so that trail riders, we could advertise through Airbnb and have them be able to spend a night or two, a weekend or something, and ride straight from our street, their street, onto Raider and have use of the trails. Well, both of those ideas were squashed by community development and the planning and zoning department. Firstly, we had researched the Airbnb, what was necessary for that, what exactly was entailed to make it a legal enterprise. In the meantime, we spent many thousands of dollars and pretty much all of our summer, just he and I, making the place that we bought next door habitable, attractive, safe, comfortable, updated, upgraded. We did the electric system in it and made it into a 200 amp service. We had ceilings and walls that needed to be repaired, and we put new carpet, we painted, we put in air conditioning. We did a lot of work out of our pocket. And I had contacted the county many times throughout the course of that summer and to find out if there was any specific thing we needed to do to make Airbnb a valid legal business. And I read everything that had to do with state requirements. And I had gone to the county to say, okay, now what do we need to do for you? Airbnb said, we take care of all the taxes, we take care of all the licensing, we take care of the advertising. All you have to do is make sure that you go with the county rules. So I contacted the county, I told them what we were doing, and I was told, well, we don't allow you to do that. You're going to have to rezone that house to a commercial property, because since you're not leasing it or renting it for 30 days or more, it's considered a hotel. So you have to make this to be a hotel, you have to make this to be a commercial property. And so I read again what the state said, I read again what the Airbnb was. And in the meantime, we're continuing to work on this house. We had support from most of our neighbors as well, I'll tell you that too. So I contacted the county for like a 4th time, and I was told, well, you know what, we're gonna have to pass this on to our legal department, because we don't have anything. And I said, well, how come you could see all these advertisements in court sites and other parts of La Paz County? What is wrong with Bouse? Why is Bouse the problem? And she says, well, you know, we're going to have to pass this on to the county attorney. Called back again. Nothing was done. It was like I had wasted all of my time on all my previous conversations. Nothing was done. And you know, we just gave up. We said, well, we'll just sit on it. Maybe we've improved the value and somebody will want to come by and buy it one day. So it sits. About a month and a half ago, we were in, and this is about the property on the highway. We were contacted by a person who was a developer. He had a client who was looking for a commercial property in Bouse. Ours was perfect. It was right on the highway. The dimensions were right. He gave us a deposit. He offered us a price. We did a due diligence where they went and made sure we had water and power available. It went into escrow. It was supposed to close on December 28th. On December 24th, we got a phone call from the escrow company telling us that the buyer had backed out. I mean, it was 3 days to closing. And so we tried to figure out what was going on. And it happened that because the property taxes had been put as part of the escrow, they were outstanding. So I had to rush right into Parker and pay that $700 right now so that I wasn't delinquent on the taxes. And while I was there, I asked someone in the planning and zoning department about some of the restrictions there are on commercial properties, that why a small mom and pop could not place a business on that parcel. And I was told by an assistant, not the actual director of the planning and zoning or community development, whatever the title is. And I was told that there had been an inquiry on that, and that the person wanted to put in not a mom and pop store, but a marijuana dispensary. It's legal as of January 1st in Arizona to have a marijuana dispensary, and they restrict you on how many you can have in a certain area or county, and I'm not sure about how that was, but that was none of our business. We sold it to him so that he could have a business. And when he checked and he went in and had a discussion, and I'm sure several phone calls, and was told no. And he says, well, it's the law, what's the problem? And he was told, well, we don't have ordinance on that yet. Well, I got them to send me what a C2 commercial zoning is for our property. And if you read down the list, item Q says marijuana dispensary, medical marijuana dispensary. It's been on the books. It's legal for that spot. And I don't understand why a person who wanted to, I mean, I don't think everybody needs to smoke marijuana, but it's legal now, and others who do, you might as well have them buy it legal instead of sneaking around and doing all your druggy stuff. Anyway, so I'm very upset. We've spent several $100,000 on these 2 pieces of property, and they sit. And we paid taxes on them for ever since 2006 on the one property. It was over, like, and the property, because it's vacant, we get charged a higher percentage than if it was just a residential lot. It's, I think, 16% on that vacant commercial lot. It runs 700, 15% on vacant.
The taxes are going up higher than the
The taxes are ridiculous. We've paid thousands in taxes on top of what we originally invested. And it's quite alarming. I mean, there was a little request come through our Bouse Bugle saying, hey, you know what, in order to keep the trail system kind of in people's minds, and we all got to be a community and promote the trail system, and we want to, you know, communicate Bouse, and hey, I tried twice, spent a lot of money, got nothing.
I'm not aware of your Airbnb situation. I don't know when you tried to do that.
All last summer, starting when I retired in April, all the way through until about September, and then we gave up. We said, you know what? So, I mean, you know, we're trying to follow the rules.
Right, I totally understand where you're coming from.
So now we're sitting with a property there that, according to the rule, you could have had a dispensary there, but these people came in with their cash. And we're told, no, you can't have your business there. We don't have an ordinance for that yet. I beg your pardon?
For the dispensary?
Yes.
Well, in the commercial zoning, it is allowed for medical marijuana. At the moment, we don't have an ordinance in place for recreational. So it goes in front of the board of supervisors this month for the ordinance.
Hey, you know what? That deal's done. He's gone along and found some other place to do it.
We are calling every day on the recreational, and it just passed. They don't even have the rules.
Too bad. Anybody who wanted it in Bouse, it's not happening. Thank you.
Okay, that was our last talk, folks. We really want to get this wrapped up. We've had these guys here for the full morning, so if it's important, let's hear it.
I just want to say, you know, Renee said that she's got a gun and she's going to try to learn how to shoot it and everything. A group of those ladies have been going out to the range and have been, you know, practicing. We have contracted with an instructor to come out and teach us. He will teach 25 ladies. So we need 25 ladies to sign up for this course. It'll be at our range on January 27th. And we need 25 ladies to sign up ahead of time so we can contract with him, because he won't come unless we have 25 ladies. It'll be $20 a piece. If we have 25 ladies, it'll be $20 a piece for a certified instructor to come out and teach us. So please contact me. We need 25 ladies.
He'd also do the CCW also.
Wait
a minute. Go ahead.
He will also do CCW. If you want a CCW, he also does CCW.
Did you want First off, I think we ought to say thank you to these folks.
Okay. We'll work together. We'll make it happen again. Okay, guys? Thank you so much for coming out here and sharing your thoughts and feelings with us.